Guys, I got news for you. I got all the news. For some reason, I really don't understand it. The war was over. We already won. I don't really quite understand what's happening. But for some reason, Donald Trump seems to be asking a lot of our NATO allies to get involved with the war all of a sudden. And he doesn't seem too happy that they don't seem to be taking him up on that. So I think that's there. Well, we'll see what the questions that they ask, if our if our reporters will be capable of asking any good questions. Is it's always 50-50 at these press conferences. But we're gonna start with this video of President Trump taking some questions. I guess the Kennedy Center. I thought it was the Trump Kennedy Center. So Forbes, fake news. What are you doing? So this is by Forbes. Yeah, let's see what our big beautiful boy has to say to our media as they ask him some incredibly intelligent questions.
Please, Susie.
This is from 6 hours ago, by the way.
No place like the White House. Do we agree?
Agreed.
Right, Mr. Kraft? No place like the White House. Thank you very
like
much
the
for
mac and
being
cheese?
here. Appreciate it. And
What are those?
we'll maybe discuss a couple of
Why do they have little things on their water? Little hats on their water? What's that for? I don't know.
general
Or is that just the glass? Sorry, okay.
topics. This is a
Doing it again.
board meeting for the Trump Kennedy Center, but we'll go into a couple of other things that we have the media present. It's always present, unfortunately, constantly. And
The lion
I'll say a
news.
few words about what's happening in the Middle East. And if you have a couple of questions, we'll do that, and then we'll get on with our board
Might take
meeting.
more than a couple, but we'll see.
So, thank you very much for being
welcome.
here. We have a wonderful group of very, very smart, talented patriots at this table. Our powerful military campaign to end the threats posed by the Iranian regime continued in full force over the past few days. They have been literally obliterated.
Oh, literally.
The Air Force is gone. The Navy is gone.
Air Force and Navy are gone.
Many, many ships have been.
Like I've said before, I don't think Iran was particularly known for their Air Force and Navy, but thank you, Mr. President, for obliterating them.
They're warfighting ships, but I guess they didn't know how to use them. And anti-aircraft is decimated. Their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. Other than that, they're doing quite well.
Well, you didn't talk about their main thing, the main thing that they're known for. Their drones and their ballistic missiles. Those are like literally the only two things that they're known for.
A terror for 47 years, and now I guess the world, through the United States, with the help of Israel, is
such a help.
is doing what should have been done many years ago. Should have been done many years ago. Since the beginning of the conflict, we've struck more than 7.
Netanyahu's been trying for like 30 years now. You're just the first president to bite on it, so I don't know what that says really, but
1,000
some can
targets
infer.
across Iran, and these have been mostly commercial and military targets. We've achieved a 90% reduction in their ballistic missile launches and a 95% reduction in drone attacks. The missiles are trickling in now at very low levels because
just a little trickle.
they don't have too many missiles left.
Hey.
We've
From what I can tell, though, Iran must have a pretty powerful stream because that little trickle is doing a lot of damage. Like, they're getting through.
also attacked the manufacturing plants, where the places where they manufacture the missiles and the drones. And that's going on today. We just hit 3 of them today. And it's getting very hard for them to manufacture. More than 100 Iranian naval vessels have been sunk or destroyed over the last week and a half. That has to be some kind of a record. Additional strikes continue to launch from all
sure it
directions
is.
every single hour.
Someone get Guinness over there.
And as you
sorry.
know, we attacked Carg Island and knocked it knocked it literally, destroyed everything on the island except for the area where the oil is.
Yeah.
I call it the
Okay.
pipes. We left the pipes.
They left the pipes. Now, okay. This is something that is like why, right? Why did they specifically not target the the pipes as he says? And the like you don't really have to think that hard. It's because if you destroy the pipes, then they're the strait is going to essentially not be shipping oil for the like indefinite future, for months, if not years, while they, try and get it all set up again to be able to export from that region. And so then one must ask the question, why didn't he hit, or like what one must ask, like how does Iran view this, right? How does Iran view this move of just targeting the military assets? And my guess would be that they would say it looks like they're too scared to they're already economically constrained and they're too scared to raise the oil prices too much, i.e. our plan is working is probably how I would interpret that if I was an IRGC commander, which I assure you I am not. But but that's how I would have interpreted it.
We didn't want to do that, but that we will do that. We can do that on 5 minutes notice. It'll be over.
Mm-hmm.
But for purposes of
To be clear, I think we could. Like we could blow it up, but I don't think we're going to. Because if we did, it would send oil prices skyrocketing for the foreseeable future. Not just in if he wants this over in 4 to 6 weeks, which I don't really see happening, but if he does, then there's no that the oil prices would still keep raising after that if they destroyed all of that infrastructure.
someday rebuilding that country, I guess we did the right thing. But it may not stay that way. Just one simple word, and the pipes will be gone too. But it'll take a
The
long time to
pipes.
rebuild that.
Not the pipes.
We are aggressively dismantling Iran's defense industrial base and ability to rebuild its missiles and drone capability
I
is
don't think so,
getting.
man. I don't think so. I said this before, but they build a lot of this shit underground and they store it all underground. You can attack whatever manufacturing they do above ground, I guess, which it sounds like they're doing, or at least they're saying they're doing. Um, they still have Russia and China shipping them stuff, and I like Iran will be able to outproduce us in the end. Like a long war does not favor America. We produce like one missile interceptor a year. Like maybe it's not that low, like I can't remember it, but it is some absurdly low amount of missile interceptors per year that we build compared to like Iran's like thousands of drones that they build per year or whatever. Like even under sanctions, they were doing that. So, you know, but we can choose to believe or not our big beautiful president. Look at him. How could he ever tell me a lie?
Down to close to zero. And we're hammering their capacity to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz with more than 30 mine-laying ships destroyed. We hit, to the best of our knowledge, all of their mine-laying ships. Now they can put them on other types of ships, I guess,
Oh
and
no.
drop them in. But
Why
we
didn't
don't
you
know.
get those ships, Professor? Or not Professor, Donald. President, my president. Why didn't you get those ships
Know
too?
that any have even been dropped in. We're not sure that any have been. That's a big
They
negative for
haven't.
them if they do it. It's a form of suicide. But we
I
don't
don't
know
think they've
that
done
they
it.
have dropped any in. But
I assure you they still can, but I don't think that they've done it yet.
we've hit all 30 of their ships and destroyed them. They're all at the bottom of the sea.
With the
We
fishes.
strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait far more than ours. We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit.
No, China doesn't get 90% of their oil from Iran, I don't think. China oil consumption by country. Now, where does China get its oil from? Yeah, they get 11%. 11, okay. That's what I thought. So China, it doesn't get that much of its oil from Iran. Now, 90% of Iran's oil is going to China. I think he just has his numbers mixed up. But China only gets 11% of it from Iran, and this is 2024, I guess, which I mean, I doubt it's changed that much or whatever. It only gets 2% from America, but 20% from Russia. It's very diversified in terms of where it gets its oil from. Oh, I guess maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe all of this added together. Um, 10, 20, 35, like maybe 40. Okay, maybe the majority of it could be coming from that strait, I guess, if it's all like if all of this is added up, but it's still not 90%. But yeah.
South Korea gets 35%.
Also, China has a lot of green energy too, so, take that into account as well.
The Europeans get quite a bit. South Korea gets 35%.
Europe gets a ton.
So we want them to come and help us with the
Come
strait.
and help. What are you
we
waiting
have
for?
It in very good shape. The countries, I said, we've already taken care of Iran, but now, because of the fact that literally a single terrorist can put something in the water or shoot something or shoot a missile, a small missile, and it's fairly close range because it is a tight area. And
that's what I said.
Which is one of the reasons they've always used
tight.
that as a weapon. Iran has always used that as an economic weapon, and it's not going to be able to be used very.
Okay, all of that stuff is true. It is true. Europe depends very heavily on their oil. Japan depends very heavily on their oil. The strait is very, very near to Iran. It's a 20 to 30 kilometer strait right off its coast. It's not that hard to fire on just from Iranian territory or whatever. Um, all of this stuff, though, is things that you should have considered before before you decided to go to war. Like if you decide to go to war, then if they were going to close the strait, you should have had plans for that. If you were worried about that, then you should have known exactly what you would do to prevent that from happening. And like it really seems like you're caught with your pants down right now.
Long. Numerous countries have
Diapers
told me they're
exposed.
on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't. Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years.
I haven't seen any
We've
enthusiasm.
protected them from horrible outside sources, and they weren't that enthusiastic. And the level of enthusiasm matters to me.
I have to assume he's talking about Europe, and he's saying like Russia was going to invade your countries or something, and we're out there sending arms to Ukraine. Like I think that's what he's going for. Um, but like to be fair, Europe doesn't benefit at all from our proxy war against Russia and Ukraine either. Like they already were in an energy crisis, particularly because we sanctioned the shit out of like Russian oil, which we're now taking back some of those sanctions so that to ease that cost of energy or whatever for the EU, because they can't really take any more supply shock from that. And so like I really think you kind of have it back. Like we're the ones kind of waging it. Like yes, Russia invaded Ukraine, but I think we're kind of the ones preventing any sort of end to the conflict or whatever. I guess to be fair, the Europeans are pretty like belligerent as well in terms of like saying no territorial concessions and all that sort of stuff. But I really think we're also playing a pretty big part as well in that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a like I don't really see that as us protecting them, and I doubt that their people, like their citizens, see that as us protecting them in some way, shape, or form, but who knows? Sure.
Some countries where we have 45,000 soldiers, great soldiers, protecting them from harm's way. And we have done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left.
They're saying
But
no to Trump.
They said, we'd rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that that was said, because when Yeah, I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries because I
Hey,
know
me
that
too.
we'll protect them. And if we ever needed help,
Well,
they won't be there for us.
that's not the reason that I don't like NATO. I don't like NATO particularly because it's a protection racket. Like it is, we are saying that we will protect you, and then all you have to do is lose all of your sovereignty and become vassalized to the United States. And I don't like that because I think it honestly it makes us become even more belligerent and more evil over time. Um, and so like that's kind of my particular reason. It also I don't necessarily think keeps people safe really, and also we're kind of running into like the limits of US power here where people, I'm assuming NATO allies are going to start looking at this and being like, yeah, maybe they're not going to be able to protect us if they're, struggling this much with just opening the strait or whatever. So because they've all completely and totally outsourced all of their defense to us in particular, which then gives us this like world police role, which then leads to us like imperially like going into countries and like doing a bunch of shit and nobody being able to counterbalance us and stuff. So that's my main problem with NATO. I think to some extent there's a little bit of overlap I think with what Donald Trump is saying here, but I think that mine's from a more his is from like a selfish perspective of like we do this, we should get more for it or whatever. Mine's from more of an anti-imperial perspective. But you know what, Trump, if this ends NATO, which I really hope it does, then like hey, I'm more for it. If this both ends NATO and completely takes out the idea that America is going to protect any of its client states in the future except for Israel, like that is a win-win in my book. Bring on the multipolar world, the Chinese century of prosperity. Let it come sooner rather than later, and then maybe once people have to balance interest between multiple superpowers, then maybe uh, America won't be able to go in and just fuck with every country that it feels like.
I've just known that for a long period of time, just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago. Predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that.
They told you.
All of it. I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check about a year before the World Trade Center then came down.
Hey, so did the Simpsons.
President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it. And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things. We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the Strait for blood. I mean, these people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the Strait. And
well, when it comes to China, at least, if he's bringing up that 95% number again, Iran has already said that China can go through. Like, in fact, they said any non-allied, like people unallied with America, are allowed to ship through the Strait of Hormuz. So, like, I don't think they're really that concerned if you're talking about China. Now, Europe, they might be seen as collaborating with America because they kind of are to some extent. So they might not be able to ship through there, but China certainly will.
They should be in here very happily helping us. And it's incredible. We have such great, we're number one in oil by double now. We drill, baby, drill. We're double any other nation. And it's going to be soon triple any other nation. And that doesn't include Venezuela, who's been great. By the way,
oil.
The relationship with Venezuela has been fantastic. Millions, literally millions of barrels of oil.
He's thinking back to Venezuela. He's like, man, why couldn't this have just been like that? Why couldn't this have just been like that? Ugh.
Are being taken out.
Poor Donald.
And it's been a great help, and it's been to their great benefit. The president has done a really good job We get along with them really well. But we've taken out millions of barrels of oil and brought to Houston and other places for to the refineries. We have refineries set up specifically for that.
Okay.
And it's been a
Let's
great
speed
it's
this
been a
up.
great
Let's
relationship.
get back on script.
More and more is happening. It's a tremendous oil source, and we're getting we're stepping it up very rapidly.
Come
The
on.
big companies are
Paper's
going
down
in,
here. Keep reading.
and
I
they
think he's
will
done.
actually numbers in a pretty short period of time. Numbers that they've never been able to do, we'll be doing. There's a lot of oil under that land. We strongly encourage the other
Okay.
nations
There we
to
go.
get involved with us and get involved quickly and with great enthusiasm.
Not happening.
I have that from a number of them, and I'd like.
Okay. Well, we learned a little bit there. Maybe not. I don't know. I think, he seems a little bit sad, a little bit butthurt that all of his best friends that he's protected so gracefully over the years, um, and they're just denying them. It's like when you simp for your e-girl so hard. You simp for them so hard, and then they announce to their community that they got married or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck? That's how Trump's feeling right now. He's feeling like a little simp. But okay, well,